All right, so we are going to still keep moving through Genesis, the first book of the Bible. We are now at chapter 30, and we're going to cover verses 1 through 24 in this video. So we're picking up right where we left off with Jacob, who is now married to Leah and Rachel. And Leah, who is the one that he didn't work for, he doesn't really love in the same way that he loves Rachel, the one that he did work for. She has given him 4 sons. And these 4 sons that she has had have not earned her any more favor with him, any more love from him, anything. He just keep visiting and she keep having babies. And so in verse 30, Rachel realizes after 4 children born to her sister, clearly something's going on. We're several years in at this point. Even if these are back-to-back babies, there is at least 3.5 years that have happened in this time frame. And she's saying that she sees that she's not having any children. And so she goes to Jacob and is like, just let me have a baby. Do what you got to do to help me have a baby. I want to have a baby. I don't understand what the problem is. You love me. I love you. We are doing all the right things and no babies are coming. And Jacob is like, who do you think you're talking to? Like, I'm not God. I can't make this happen. All I can do is my part. We got to wait on God to do the rest. We got to wait on God to make a difference here. And so she decides that because she can't have any children, she's at this point barren or infertile, that she's going to give her handmaid or her servant, the maid that her father had given her when she got married, that came with her into this relationship. She's going to give her servant Bilhah to her husband as a wife. And she is going to be with him. They're going to have a child and she'll have like an adoptive child. So this is not necessarily a surrogate situation. It's not necessarily a surrogate situation the way they're taught, the way I kind of always saw it. In verse 3, it says that, in verse 4, it says she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife. That is not just to sleep with, create a child, and then they'll take on this child like an old-fashioned surrogate. It's not that type of situation. This is someone who still has some rights and remedies as a wife. This is a person who still gets to raise her children and be part of their lives. It is more like a mom, godmom situation. That's kind of where it is, where they are jointly raising this child, with one person being the primary parent. And the roles will be a little reverses, and Rachel will be the primary parent, but this woman would still have access to and involvement in her child's life. And so she does that. We are talking Abraham, Hagar, and Sarah kind of foolishness right now. And so they get together and Bilhah is pregnant and she conceives and has a son. So he now has 5 sons in a row. And Rachel gets to name this child because, again, it's more, it's a situation where she's now the primary parent. And she's saying that, God heard her voice. God heard her. And when he heard her, or he judged between them, God looked at the situation, realized this was unfair, and gave her something as a reward. He judged. He kind of gave her a reward for the infertility that she had been facing, for the time that she had to sit and wait. And so she named this child Dan. And Bilhah has a second child, which is why I'm saying this is not like a kind of surrogate situation where you kind of one and done. This is a situation where this woman now has rights and has time. And this is a husband to her. He has a responsibility to care for her. He has a responsibility to provide for her. She is a sister wife in all respects. And she has a second son. So he is now up to 6 sons between these 2 women. He has 3 wives, 2 have had children, and they're up to 6 sons in a row. And this son, Rachel gets to name again, and Rachel calls him Naphtali. And it is because it's named for my struggle, meaning she has kind of fought and she's now feeling victorious because she envied her sister. Her sister is not the wife that he wanted, but it's the one that's fruitful. this is not the situation he wanted to be in, but it's the situation that is bearing him sons, that's giving him a legacy, that's giving him a future. This marriage that he's part of to Leah is not what he expected it to be. It is a very beneficial situation, even though it's not necessarily what he wanted or what he thought would be best. And so um when we see that in verse 9, Leah is like, hey, Bill Hunter had two babies and I haven't had any babies. So I was on a streak here. I was doing real good. I was busting those sons out of here. And I was really doing something, and I felt valuable and I felt useful to a man that doesn't love her, who now has three wives. She found value in being a mother to his children. She found value in her children and wanted to have a big family so that she could create kind of this family for herself. You know, I'm not getting love from my husband. Me and my sister are kind of at odds because we're sharing a husband, but I can have these children and I can be a great mom. And me and my children can have a fantastic life and I can go do awesome, wonderful kid things with them. And that's where she found value and that's what she was excited about. And she felt useful and found purpose in being a mom. So when she realizes, hey, it's been a couple years, I'm not still having babies, she's like, you know what? It worked out for Rachel to have her maid become a wife and have children. So I'm going to try it. And in verse 9, she gives her maid Zilpah as a wife. And this woman, again, has rights and responsibilities and remedies as a wife. Jacob has a responsibility to care for her and provide for her. And she, in turn, begins to have more sons. So Zilpah has her first son, and the first son's name is, I'm sorry, I'm checking my notes so I can make sure I'm giving you what I studied on this. And so the first son is Gad, and Gad means good fortune. And so again, when Leah is naming her children, Leah goes through, my husband will love me now. And she's going through all these things. Maybe I'll get his affection. Maybe I'll be joined to him now. Maybe he'll love me at this point. As she names the first three sons. But as she gets to the fourth son and she names him Judah, Judah means to praise. She begins to thank God for her position and her role as a mother. She begins to thank God for her children that have come to her. And we see here when she names this maid's first child Gad, it means good fortune. She is excited that again, she is in this position of motherhood. She is again in this position where she is useful and loving. And I'm certain this woman has loved newborns because she had a lot of newborns. And something about that newborn smell that really make you think about doing it all over again. And so there is a second son born to the maid Zilpah. And this son's name is Asher. And that means happy or blessed. And again, this is her thanking God for this child. This is her thanking God for giving her meaning and purpose to her life. It doesn't matter if this man doesn't love me. I see that you love me. I see that you care for me. I see that you continue to bless me. It doesn't matter what anybody else does, how anybody else treats me. I see that you know and love and bless and cover and keep me. And I am excited. I am in praise. I am of good fortune and I am happy and blessed to be part of that. She is picking up and is praising for these children that are coming. It reminds her and connects her back to God, not necessarily the husband. And so after that second son is born, in verse 14, we see the start of a next story. So the children are beginning to grow. There are years that are passing because there are 4 children born to Leah. Then there's kind of a break between people having kids. And then Bilhah and Zilpah have 2 children each. So there's a period of years where these children, especially the older ones, are beginning to come of age. And they're like older kids, preteens, that type of thing. They go into their teenage years. So like we're starting to see these children grow up. And in verse 14, we see where Reuben, who is the oldest of the children, goes out into the harvest, and he is out, just helping out, learning the ropes on how to harvest and how to plant, how to seed, how to grow, how to cut, prune, all those things. Like he's learning this stuff, and he's out there and he finds some mandrakes. And mandrakes are like a carrot-like a carrot-like root vegetable that you see, but it has a weird shape. And so people at different times in history, because it wasn't just in the Bible, it has been in years since then, believed that these mandrakes that have these very different this shape that kind of looks like a little person, it's like a person type shape. It would bring you fertility because it looked like a baby. So it would bring you fertility. And Rachel finds out that Reuben has found these, and she goes to her sister and she's like, "Look, I know your son found this. I know rightfully it belongs to you guys. It belongs to him. But if you give them to me so that I can do what I need to do with them." Sometimes people said you had to put them under your bed, put them under your pillow. You had to cook them and drink it. You had to eat it. Like there were different things that you would do to be able to absorb the fertility that this particular thing would give you, depending on what time and what place you're in. And she was like, if you give them to me so that I can have this and I can experience this fertility, I need some help. I still ain't had a baby. You done had babies. Zilpah, Bilhah, everybody done had babies. I still ain't had no baby. And I'm the wife that he wanted. I'm the one that he loves. And I still haven't had a baby. Can you just give me what you have? And her sister is like, look, you got his love. You have his attention and his appreciation. This man wants you. He don't want me. He don't want them. He just making babies over here. He don't really care for us in the way that he cares for you. Is it not enough that you have his affection? Is it not enough that you have all of that? Do you need, what more do you need? You have everything that I want. And Leah is saying to Rachel, you have everything I want. You have the affection. You have his love. You have his attention. And Rachel's like, you have everything I want. You have the babies. You have his legacy. You have his life, his future. You carry that and it's yours. And I don't have that. I don't have a claim to this. If something happened to this man, like if this man died right now, you get everything because it goes to you for your sons. You have a claim to his valuables, his possessions. And I have some memories because I don't have any claim to his legacy in the way that you do. And so she's like, so Leah is like, look, if you want it, let's trade. Let's trade. I know it may be your night with him as your husband. It might be your night with him, but let's trade. I'll get more time with him and you'll get these mandrakes. And that was the trade. And so Rachel agreed and she's like, cool, you can have him tonight. He, because when you have wives like this, you have to provide for them equally. So there is a need for this man to divide his time. So he doesn't get to go home to the same bed every night. They divide up time. This amount of time is dedicated to you during the day. This amount of time is dedicated to you at nights. These are the nights that he'll sleep with you, not, be with you and, have dinner with you, come home to you. And these are the nights that he'll come home to me so that, his time is spread among us. So everybody gets a portion of him. And so they trade off some time. She purchases these mandrakes with time. And what happens is when Jacob comes from the fields, he then came home from work, and Leah's like, hey, me and my sister made a deal. We exchanged some of your time for some things that she wanted from me. So you're going to come and you're going to be with me tonight. And so he goes, he goes on home and he's like, okay, well, Leah got an extra night. That's cool. They worked it out amongst themselves. And during that time, Leah gets pregnant again. And so Leah has now conceived her 5th baby with him. She has the 4 sons. There's 2 with Zilpah, 2 with Bilhah, and now she is conceiving her 5th child, and it is yet again a son. And this son she names Issachar. And then Issachar means reward. God has given her a reward. She has worked with her sister. She has been kind to her sister. She has made deals with her that really haven't always put her in the best position. And God rewarded her struggle. God rewarded her for being this wife in this position. He has continued to bless her with more sons. It's just she has another son. And then it happens again. And so she conceives another time. she has another son, and she names him Zebulon. Um, this son is the sixth son for her. So it's not, if the Bible is saying, your Bible is saying it's she conceives a sixth son. He does have four children in between her first four and her second two. So there are four sons there, then four more, so that's eight sons, and now she has delivered the ninth and the 10th son. So there are, this is baby number 10 for him. And this baby is Zebulon. It is a gift or a dwelling honor, because God has now sat with her. God has now rested his favor on her. It doesn't matter if this man loves her, he continues to come, continues to have babies, and she continues to be rewarded for her patience in this situation. She continues to be rewarded for her understanding in this. And so we're getting close to where we're going to wrap for today, but there's more. So, in verse 21, his first daughter is born. She conceives yet again. So she had the first four, he got two more wives and four more kids, and then she had two more sons. And now she is giving birth to his first daughter. And this is the 11th child, or his first daughter, Dinah. And so, Dinah is the only girl born to Jacob. That's his only daughter among all these sons. And look out, because a woman that has that many brothers, it's gonna be something serious if you treat her bad. And we're gonna see later that it is in fact something serious when you mistreat a woman that got that many brothers. So be careful. And so in verse 22, it says, God remembered Rachel. After all these years of being infertile, all these years of watching other people give the man that you love children, having this kind of godmom kind of co-parenting situation, this with her maid and with her sister and her sister's maid, having, been the wife that he wanted and he loves, but not being the one that's able to give him the future and the legacy that you wanted to be able to do. God hears her prayers. God hears her and he opens her womb and she conceives. And when she has this son, she calls him Joseph. And Joseph, and Joseph's name means he will add, because God allowed her to add to the legacy. It wasn't about having to be the first. She just got to be part of it. She got to have a claim. She got to have a stake, and God gave her the thing that she needed. He took away whatever scorn or sin or reproach or whatever it was that made God not want to touch her, that made it so that she was not able to bear children. God removed the stigma from her as an infertile or barren woman and gave her a child. He added to her. He let her be great in her own life, in her own mind. That was the thing that would make her be great. Not only does she have his love, she also has his son. And so God added favor to her. And we are going to stop right there, because we're going to pick up in the next video with verse 25 and finish out the chapter. So quick recap. All of the children are being born to Jacob. Jacob has four wives. The first is Leah. The second is Rachel. Then we have, let me say it the right way, Bilhah, and then Zilpah. So the first wife, Leah, gives him four sons. Then when she realizes she's not having any babies after a couple of years, she gives her maid, Bilhah, first, who has two sons. And then Rachel is like, okay, that's how we gonna do it. That's how we gonna do it. And she gives her maid. And so that maid gives him two more sons. So we are now up to 8 sons. And then Leah is again able to bear and starts to have more children. And she gives him 2 more sons. So we are up to 10 sons. And so the 11th child is born, and it is his only daughter, Dinah. And then the 12th child is born, and this 12th child that is born is Joseph. And Joseph is the first of Rachel's children. Rachel, after all these years of being barren, finally gets to have a son. And so the 12th child is born, who is Joseph. He is the 11th son, but the 12th child. So I want us to remember first, if you are in a position where you are doing a lot of work, where there is a lot going on, and you are putting your energy and your effort into it, find satisfaction in doing what you do unto God. Find satisfaction in your reasonable service, and trust that God is going to continue to favor you with great results. And know that even when it doesn't feel like, everybody appreciates you, God is honoring your work. God is remembering you, and praise God for the opportunity to gain skills and be useful and to find pleasure in the things that you do. The other side of that is Rachel's situation. If you find yourself in a situation where it just seems hopeless, everybody else is succeeding around you, there is not any reward at all for your work, there is nothing at all that is happening, there is nothing at all that's working for you, there's nothing at all that seems to work. Even when you try to get ahead and you try and do other little things, it seems like that everybody around you is blessed by the very thing that you were trying to do and it didn't work for you. Wait on God. Some promises take a lifetime to be fulfilled. Wait on God. We already saw Abraham wait years, like 25 years, I think, for his son. We saw Noah build this ark and wait for almost 100 years for rain. We see all these things happening, and it's a long, long wait. Understand and remember that God does not exist in our time zone. He is not sitting around looking at this clock the same way you are. He's not waiting for 5 o'clock to bless you. He's not waiting for 7:15 to bless you. He's not waiting for those things. He is moving all the time in the way that he wants to. He's just waiting for you to get to the time and space where he is. God exists outside of all of this. So stop looking at the clock feeling like your blessing hasn't come. Stop looking at the calendar feeling like your blessing hasn't come, and look up and know that God is working on it. Continue to pray, because God heard Rachel's prayers. God honored Leah's praise. So praise and pray while you're in the midst. Y'all, as always, I want you to be blessed, and y'all be great.